Thank you for visiting this website. I believe I have important things to communicate, and so I appreciate your willingness to hear me out. So if you want to know the primary issue of my campaign, I believe it is best explained in the title of this video, Logs Burn Brighter Together. It's a simple concept. If you want a fire that burns brightly and gives off lots of light, you put the logs together. If you want the fire to grow dim and eventually go out, you separate the logs. In the church I have been attending, supporting these last several months, we're beginning a series on the Sermon on the Mount. And actually the pastor just taught on this verse, or preached on this verse this past Sunday. Jesus said, "Let your light shine before men so that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." In accordance with the illustration I just gave, I believe if you want a bright, shining light, it is best done as a group of like-minded people in a culture of mutual encouragement and accountability. You may ask, that sounds like a conversation to have in church. What does that have to do with politics? Well, there is a simple answer to that. In 1964, through the religious component of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, the federal government began to, if you will, force logs to burn apart in the place where we spend the majority of our time together, that is the workplace. What I stand for is the freedom for like-minded people to work in a business together where the culture of that business promotes encouragement and accountability in a particular faith. Obviously, not everyone will have that desire, but for those who do, the government should not take away that opportunity for them. For those kind of businesses to be available, we have to give freedom for employers to be able to consider an applicant's willingness to adhere to a particular faith when making hiring decisions without being punished by the federal government. And politically, that translates into amending Title VII of the Civil Rights Act so that the religious component is rescinded. Please read as I expound more on this on the Core Issues page of my website, and I highlight a Christian business that was punished by the government for seeking to have the kind of business culture that I'm speaking of. Like most of you in the district I seek to represent, I believe you can almost go down through our Bill of Rights in our Constitution and see how the federal government has systematically sought to infringe on almost every one of them and tries to dictate far too much how we live our lives. We can sit around and gripe about this, but that doesn't change anything. What I am trying to do is to get very specific where I want to start, and it is my opinion that there's no better place to begin than begin where the founders of our nation began in the initial part of the First Amendment, religious freedom from the government. Not just in corporate worship services on the weekend or maybe one night a week, but in our everyday lives. I believe that for far too long we've been playing defense with religious freedom from the government. While defense is important, you don't win games by playing just defense. It is high time we start playing offense and start taking back ground that was taken from us about 55 years ago. In other words, instead of trying to just keep the camel at bay from getting further inside the tent, we need to begin to push that camel back outside the tent. Again, thank you for listening to what I have to say. May God bless.